Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever episode of the International Opportunities podcast. My name is Laeticia Sevin. I am a theatre and performance student studying at the University of Salford. Now, last year I was very lucky and got to go on a semester exchange trip to Toronto to Humber College in Canada, and it was absolutely amazing. Hence why I've started a podcast, and here we are. I want to hear about all of our students' experiences going abroad. I got back from Canada and was asked to work with the International Opportunities to create a podcast to showcase all of our amazing students' work, everything that they've done overseas. So I am absolutely honoured and delighted to be doing this podcast, and there are going to be many episodes speaking to lots of different students who have been all over the world for work and study placements. But today I thought it'd be great to do an introductory episode all about myself and my experience going to Humber College in Canada. I first heard about the exchange trip from a friend who wanted to go to Toronto, and she's on the same course as me, and she was talking about it, and I had a little nosy. I said, I want to do that. And one minute I applied, next minute I was on the plane and I was landing in Canada. It was crazy. It all happened so fast. But I actually went for second semester from the end of August until the end of December 2023. My options for studying abroad were either Chicago or Toronto. I originally looked for places like France, Montreal, because I wanted to do something French speaking because I'm half French, but unfortunately there was nothing that mapped up. But Toronto was absolutely insane, so I was really pleased that I got to go there. Now, on our student hub, we have a list of our study exchange partnerships. So if you want to have a little look, you can see on there what universities we have partnerships with and what your options could potentially be. But they are very lenient at letting you pick modules or subjects around what you actually do. So some people do medium performance, they go out to Humber College and they get to pick a business module. So you're not just going abroad to do one specific subject, you get to dip your toes in different things. Now, I do theatre and performance practice at Salford University, but going to Canada, I was mapped onto a college diploma, which is completely different to my bachelor's degree, a college diploma, and I did acting for film and TV. Now, my modules were dance, monologues, improvisation, voice acting, such as radio, advertisements, that kind of stuff, history of film and TV, and there was another one. I can't remember what the course title was, but it was basically learning how to prepare yourself to be an actor in the industry. So what you need to do for your taxes, how to get an agent, how to do this, and it was really helpful information preparing you for the industry. So there's one sit-down lesson out of all my lessons that prepped you for the industry, which I thought was really good. My expectations for this trip, I had no clue what my actual course was going to be like. I actually didn't know what I was getting myself in for because my actual modules didn't get confirmed until about a week before, and just reading them on a piece of paper, they just seems like words. You don't actually know what you're expecting. And then I got to do all sorts of different types of modules. Now, the course that I was exchanged onto, it wasn't a bachelor's degree, which is what I'm doing at the moment. They managed to map me up with a college diploma, but can I say it was really a tough course, a really good course. It was amazing. You would not think that was a college diploma level with how great the course was. Salford Uni actually mapped me onto this course, which was brilliant. In preparation for the exchange trip, I created a detailed itinerary. I like getting organised. I made a very detailed itinerary, which I am actually going to put on the student hub for students to view, and then you can use this if you're considering going abroad. You can use the itinerary then to create your own plans. On there I had my flights, my visa information, where I'm going to be living, where I'm staying, the best contact details for the uni here and for the host institution. I went to town on my itinerary and I really planned it all out. I did a lot of research. I also looked on Google Maps. I planned my commutes and I organised my living situation in Manchester as well, because you don't really think like, what are you going to do when you get back? Where am I going to live? And I don't have my family and stuff to fall back on. So it was really important for me to make sure I had stability once I returned. One of my biggest concerns and challenges that I faced before leaving was actually looking for a place for when I got back. Now, I did have a flatmate, and unfortunately, it just wasn't feasible for me to pay rent whilst I was over there. But that was definitely my biggest concern and my challenge before I left, as I really like my stability, and it was tricky. But it all works itself out in the end, and I think it's just really important to take the plunge. And I'm very big on having stability and, you know, making sure that things are put in place. But sometimes you have to be spontaneous and just go with it and just see where you end up, because otherwise I was going to miss out on this crazy opportunity that I'm never going to get to do again, just because I was worrying about where I'm going to live when I got back. And I just told myself, worst comes to worst, I get back, I'll book an Airbnb or I'll stay with a friend for a few weeks. But I found somewhere when I got back. Anyway, this isn't what the podcast is about. That's just a little bit of a challenge that I faced. Now, the support that I received from the university was great. I was provided with contact numbers, email addresses. They were on hand for any questions and they responded really quickly. My exchange coordinator, Bron, was also really helpful. She gave me lots of advice. She was always responding to emails and phone calls. So I knew that the uni were there if I needed them. When I first landed in Toronto, I can't lie, it was so scary, but everybody is so friendly. There was a woman in the airport who completely took me under her wing. She was like, come with me. I've got a daughter that did an exchange trip. I'll look after you. She took me around the airport and it just made me feel so reassured, landing somewhere and having somebody to speak to and help you out. Luckily, my accommodation wasn't far from the airport. I managed to get set up and get settled pretty quickly in my accommodation. Shout out to that woman because she really settled my nerves that day. I was very, very anxious and also quite emotional. You're leaving all your family and your friends behind, and yeah, it's like 4 months. It's really emotional. Just having that support when I landed, because Canadian people are so friendly, can I just say? And having a British accent is a privilege and a half. Everywhere you go, everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to get to know you. And yeah, just people are really welcoming. You can ask anybody on the street for help and they will help you. Everyone's lovely. Now, my initial experiences when I was adjusting to a new city and a whole different academic environment was that I attended a welcoming event and I met so many exchange students from all over the world. I met people from Germany, France, Italy, Kenya, people from all over the world, and everybody was in the same situation as me. So if you are going on an exchange trip and they invite you to the welcome event, please make sure you go. I nearly didn't attend it because I was feeling really unwell and I was very overwhelmed, just landed in a new country. And when I got there, I was sweating buckets, super nervous to talk to everybody. But after like 20 minutes, I was calm. Everyone was so nice. Everybody was just as nervous and in the same boat. From the welcome event, I made a massive group of friends that were all in the same boat as me. So it's completely normal to be overwhelmed and anxious to do things, but remember, you're going abroad, so you have to take the plunge and just do things, even if you really don't want to do them, or even if you're anxiety filled and you just don't want to walk into that busy room, just do it. The welcome event is one of the most important things when you go abroad. And I was also greeted with a massive hug from my Humber exchange coordinator. He gave me the biggest hug when I got there, and gosh, I needed that. I really needed a big hug when I got there. People are really, really lovely in Canada. Absolutely adorable. Looking for accommodation was the academic environment in Toronto is completely different to Salford University. The course is completely practical. The one that I did, it was acting for film and TV, and it was completely practical. Whereas at Salford Uni, we do quite a lot of written work as well. I think don't quote me on this, but I think it's 40% written at Salford. And I did no written work. I had to do an acting journal, which was like 200 words or something, and that is the only written bit of work that I did. The academic environment is very hands-on. Every class for me was different. So I had history of TV and film, which was one of 2 sit-down lectures that I had, and it was only 2 hours a week of history and TV and film, and it was really interesting. We even got to make our own silent film within that module. It was really exciting. I also did a voiceover class. We learned all about how to do voiceovers for advertisements, documentaries, novels, all sorts of stuff, character voices. It was really, really interesting, and we worked with a professional who is in the industry. Well, all of the teachers on the course were all in the industry. Now, just a side note, Humber College is actually incredible for acting for TV and film because Toronto's got a really big film industry. Now, all the teachers that I had were all working professionals, have worked on set, and there was so many interesting and really cool teachers. The connections there were brilliant, and the teachers were all absolutely unreal, incredibly professional and really knowledgeable. It was really good. Other classes involved dance, improvisation, acting for camera, and monologue classes as well. There was no written work, it was all practical, and I got to develop a voiceover show reel and an acting show reel. Oh, and we did fight combat. So we did not stage combat, it was combat for camera. So it's completely different to stage combat. And it was really interesting because the people that we worked on that with have on top really good films and really good programs, and they have coordinated the fights for them. So they were really, really cool teachers to work with. I feel like combat and the dance class had to be my favourite two classes. So I would say that the most challenging class out of all of them was dance, because I rocked up one day and I didn't even know, like, it was my first week. I didn't know exactly what I was expecting or what the course structure was like. I had no idea. And I walked in and there was these two dance teachers and they were like, so today we're going to teach you Brazilian Zuki dancing. I said, dance? I turned around to everybody else, like, oh, we're dancing. And they were like, yeah, we have a dance class once a week. And I went bright red. I was like, I can't dance. I don't like dancing in front of people. I like dancing in my kitchen or my living room on my own, not in front of people. I was really nervous. I remember I was literally sweating. I was so anxious. And Brazilian Zuki dancing, it's up close and personal. You are like face to face with people, holding hands, dancing right on each other. Like it's an intense form of dance for it to be the first dance class we did. It took me by surprise, but I actually ended up falling in love with the dance classes. I looked forward to them every week. It was also great exercise, but I also really developed a skill in dancing. I think when I was younger, I was really nervous because somebody laughed at me once at a dance class, and after that, my confidence just went with dancing in public. But it brought my confidence back, and people were like, oh, you're really actually quite good at dancing. You've got this. And just like having a really good support system in class as well it was just really lovely. Everybody really looked out for me. The teaching style and the classroom dynamics were so much more different to Salford. Very strict. They were really on it with attendance and reliability and everything. If you weren't pulling your weight, you're off the course. They didn't take any messing about, which I loved about the course. I absolutely loved that because it's a professional industry. They're meant to be preparing you for a professional industry. So I think that should be standard. And it was just really good, but very competitive. Everyone's really, really good at acting, really good. And they had a whole year of the fundamentals of acting before second year. They were all way ahead of me for acting for camera. I've always been primarily theatre and stage acting. I did feel a little bit left behind because I was like, oh, I've not done any of this on-camera training, and they're all so professional and so good. They get that camera on and they're just in the zone. And I did struggle because I'm used to stage acting, and my teacher was like, you need to tone it down a bit because the camera picks up everything. And I eventually did that. It was also really inspiring and really motivating to be around people that had their head in the game and wanted to succeed and wanted to be successful. And I genuinely do think you are your environment, and to be surrounded by so many like-minded people and so many people with this shared goal and motivation and aspiration in their careers, it was really good and really beneficial for me as well. I felt really motivated, and the people in the class was just so lovely. From the first day I started, everybody wanted to get to know me, chat to me, and made sure that I was always involved. And yeah, everyone was just really uplifting, really like cheered everybody on after you did a piece, and you never felt embarrassed or like you couldn't be vulnerable and be yourself because the class were all just amazing and really looked out. Memorable cultural experiences would definitely be the fact that Toronto is extremely diverse. There are over hundreds of languages spoken, hundreds of cultures. It is one of the most diverse cities that you can go to in the world. I didn't expect it. I thought it would be just mainly Canadian people, but you meet people from all different cultures. Not even the exchange students that I met, people in my class were from all over the world. We had people from Mexico, Iran, all over the world. It's not just Canadian people, and you probably won't meet a lot of Canadian people in Toronto, which, yeah, I didn't expect. I thought it was going to be mainly Canadian people, but no, everybody is from all over the world. It's extremely diverse and you learn so much about so many different cultures. The thing that I would say that is definitely Canadian culture is basketball, hockey, baseball. I went to a Blue Jays game, I went to a Raptors game, I went to the Maple Leafs game. Yeah, it was really good. They love their sports over there. Their stadiums are incredible and the atmosphere in the stadiums are insane. They have games during halftime, music, prizes, all different types of stuff, and all their sports games are so interactive, and yeah, everybody gets involved. It's really good fun. Definitely say that has got to be one of my favourite kind of things to do in Toronto based on Canadian culture. It's definitely big on sports. Cultural differences that I noticed would have to be the food there. There isn't a great choice for food. It's very processed, and yeah, it was a bit tricky to find really fresh and non-processed organic kind of food. Everything was pretty processed and pretty bad. So I would definitely say that was a big shock for me when I got there and a difference that I struggled with. I found foods for me that were lighter and easier to eat, but the food wasn't great there. That was definitely a big difference that I noticed in Canada. Now, I had one opportunity to travel around. I had 1 week off for the whole 4 months that I was there, 1 week off college. And I went to Banff in Alberta, which was insane. Oh my gosh. I just couldn't recommend that place enough. There is the most beautiful mountains, the most beautiful blue and green lakes. And there's just so much to do there. I think it was a 4-hour flight for me. I really wanted to go to New York. I really wanted to go to Montreal, but the student budget, and obviously with me saying like it was last minute, me planning the exchange trip, I didn't get to do a lot of travelling nearby, which was a shame, but I got to go to Banff and I got to live in Toronto for 4 months, so I'm not complaining. I know that a lot of the exchange students did actually go to New York, Montreal, Quebec, everywhere, so yeah, if you manage to save up a bit of money, make sure you travel around because it does look insane, all the nearby places that you can go to. But Banff, yeah, it was a 4-hour flight. I stayed for 4 days, stayed in a really nice little Airbnb that had like a little hot tub in a cave, and it snowed into the cave. Oh, it was the dream. It was lovely. Banff is a really nice place to visit. And we went off season, so it was quiet. Apparently it gets very busy there, but we went off season, which meant we couldn't do any activities really while we were there, but we got to see everything. We hired a car and we drove out into the mountains and it was just insane. If you go to Toronto, try and go to Banff or visit nearby places and just save up a bit of money and do it. It has to be done. Now, a big thing that is difficult when you move countries is making new friends and building a social network, because it's really tricky to, especially if you're quite an anxious person or you go in there to build your confidence, it can be quite tricky making friends if you don't put yourself out there. Now, I went to the welcome event, which is where I met all the exchange students. I also met loads of people in my class, which was quite a shock for me because in Salford, I'm classed as a mature student because I'm 24 and everybody else in my class is a lot younger. I did struggle when I went to Salford Uni to make friends, but in Canada, it was a mix of all ages. Like my best friend there is 28, another girl 24, like everybody is a mix of ages. So it was actually really nice. There was only probably about 15 of us in a class and it was a really good mix of ages. I managed to make really good friends there, but obviously you have societies, they have events on all the time at Humber College that you can go to and meet people and just talk to people. Everybody there is really friendly, and because it's such a diverse place, everybody has come from all over the world and they're all looking to make friends and build networks as well. So yeah, just make sure you are really putting yourself out there. No matter how anxious you are, just go out there, talk to people and build up connections, because that is the most important thing when you're doing an exchange, is building those connections. Because now look, I have holidays all over the world that I can go on. I have people that I want to visit all over the world. So yeah, you really need to put yourself out there. Just be your authentic self. And if people don't like you, that's their problem. You will meet people that you will get along with and build amazing connections with. I think for the first 2 months I struggled a little bit with friends because I have a very tight-knit group of friends at home. It was just hard to like really put myself out there and let people in, but I did it, and yeah, it was amazing. I made amazing friends that I still speak to every single day since I've got back. Just put yourself out there, trust the process, and don't worry too much if you don't meet friends that are your soulmates, because you're only there for a short period of time. You're there to milk being in another country and getting everything you need out of it and going places and doing things. And it doesn't matter if like some of the friends that you make aren't your friends for life. They're just still connections that you've made, and you've put yourself out there and you've done things and learnt about new people and learnt about their lives and their cultures and their backgrounds as well, because that's also really important. Make friends from different cultures. Don't go over there and look for the English people, the people that you're going to relate to. Look for the people that are from different cultures and different backgrounds, because they're the people who are going to teach you a lot and really develop your knowledge about other cultures and people's backgrounds. Really make those connections with people and really get to know people. Just take the time to do it. Now, I would say, depending on your living circumstances, I lived with a lady. She was in, I think, her 40s. And she looks about 20, but I think judging by her son's age, she must be in her 40s or 50s. She was just amazing, absolutely lovely. And we did a big food bank together. We had all of her family, all of her friends come over. We collected loads of donations, loads of, I was going to say groceries, that's so American. Loads of, groceries, loads of shopping. And we must have raised about $300. And we went to Walmart and we got loads and loads and loads of stuff for the food bank, dropped it all off at the fire station. So that was an amazing experience. It was just great to give something back to the community, especially with me living there for 4 months, to be able to then give back to people who are struggling in Toronto and help them out with the food bank. It was such a lovely day, such a wholesome experience, and I'm just so glad that I built a close relationship with my landlady. She was just so, so sweet. Now, I'm going to give you a funny story / highlight of my social interactions. So one day, there was a bar called Madison's Bar. It's for all students and young people, and we go there every weekend, have a few drinks. It was great fun. And then one day, somebody was like, oh, come to our frat party. Now, I've seen frat parties in the movies, and I was like, oh, frat party, that's very American, even though we're in Canada, but it's North America, isn't it? But, so yeah, I got invited to my first ever frat party. I was like, woo! We got there. There were bouncers on the door that were the, I can't remember what you call them now, but the people who run the frats. And they asked for ID, and they charged me to enter a frat party. And then they had a gigantic keg with beer, and they had a school bus in the garden with somebody's dad DJing on top of it. And yeah, I'd probably say that was a highlight of my interactions / experiences when I was there, because I see these frat parties in the movies. We had the red cup, we had everything. We had someone's dad DJing, on top of a school bus in a garden. Like, come on. It was crazy. It was absolutely wild. Yeah, I would say that was definitely going to be one of my highlights. And I think another highlight from my social interactions was I got quite a lot of Ubers when I was there. They actually called me the Uber Queen because, yeah, just Uber everywhere. I have a bit of a fear with public transport, which, being a woman, is understandable, right? So I got Ubers everywhere, and I had just the loveliest Uber drivers ever. They were from all over the world. I had a man from Palestine, a man from Ethiopia, and they were just so interesting to talk to. And out of all interactions whilst I was there, my most interesting ones were definitely talking to Uber drivers, because they just have incredible stories and they're just so lovely and had so much to tell me. And I learnt so much about so many different cultures just speaking to my Uber drivers. They were great. But yeah, no, genuinely, the Uber drivers were so interesting and really, really great to talk to. Now, the exchange trip has impacted me massively since I've got back. I've received so much recognition from my teachers, from my course, from teachers that I've never even met before that I'm now in contact with. I've made really great connections. And obviously, I'm doing this podcast for the International Opportunities team, which is an opportunity I got from going abroad. If I didn't do this exchange trip, I would not be employed by the university right now. I would not be doing all this work. And I just think that Toronto has opened me up to so many opportunities now. It's a talking point. It's my unique selling point on my CV. And it's really, really helped me with my grades. When I got back, I was awarded with the Dean's List. Now, the Dean's List, I don't really think we have this in England, but it's basically where you're put on a list of being like high achieving on the course, and you make it to the dean of the school, his list, to say that you've achieved great grades and you've worked hard. To come back and achieve that award, it's opened up so many doors for me, so many doors, and it's really is my unique selling point. And what is going to get me work and really give me a boost on my CV, and in interviews it's a really good talking point. I would definitely say that going abroad has opened up so many opportunities within the university, within my work life, my personal life. Since I've got back, I just want to talk to everybody and meet new people, and I think before I went I was actually quite closed off, and now I just want to talk to everybody and make new friends. And I go and sit in restaurants on my own. I go and sit in a bar on my own. I can go anywhere on my own now and not feel any type of way about it. I'm just going for a drink, going for some food, and I can just enjoy my own company, which is crazy because I really, really struggled being on my own. My friends were really my support system for many, many years, and I really heavily depended on a support network around me. So when you go away, the time difference, everything, you don't have those people to fall back on, and you learn how to rely on yourself and become independent. And yeah, it's just so wild, like looking back and seeing how much my confidence has come on. I can just walk in a room and talk to anybody now, and I've always been a chatbox, let's be serious. I have always been confident-ish, but this is like another level of confidence where I can just walk in and really speak to people. And I'm going to things. I went to a swinging, oh, that sounds a bit wrong, but a blues, not that kind of swinging, all right, a blues swinging dance class. And yeah, like that, I just would never have done that before I went to Canada. Like meeting all these students that I'm interviewing for this podcast and things. This is not anything I would have done before I went to Toronto. So going abroad really, really makes you sociable and able to communicate and interact with people, and want to as well. It really gives you a bit of a bug to like meet new people and do things that you wouldn't normally do and push yourself out your comfort zone. I think the skills and insights that I've gained from going abroad have definitely been confidence, organisation. Now, I was incredibly organised for this trip. I had spreadsheets, Word documents, everything. I was really, really organised. So confidence, organisation, personal skills like communication, listening skills as well, really listening to people. I would also say cultural insights. I'm a lot more aware of different cultures and religions, and I've just learnt so much from people. Like I say, Toronto is really diverse. You meet people from all different backgrounds, and it really educated me on different cultures and different countries. And yeah, they taught me so much. There's so many skills. I could literally sit here all day and tell you everything that I have gained from going there. And it's true though, you learn so much while you're there. Now, I would say that going to Humber has definitely influenced what I want to do in the future and my future plans. When I did the voiceover workshop there, the voiceover module there, I really discovered a love for doing voiceovers and advertisements and documentaries, and I learned how to change my voice to make it sound good for the microphone. And that was something that really, really stuck out for me, was going into voice acting. So yeah, I'm having a look into it, and I'm looking to get my little own home studio set up, all thanks to Humber and my teachers there for inspiring me to want to do that, because yeah, that has definitely influenced my career aspirations and my future plans. And before I went there, I was always doing theatre, and I'd say that by going there, it's really opened me up to acting for film and TV. I really enjoy the film and TV industry. Side note, did you know that Suicide Squad was filmed on the Humber campus? And so was The Handmaid's Tale. Now, I'm a massive Handmaid's Tale fan, and it was filmed in the building that I did my filming in for my show reel. It's so cool, honestly. It's so, so cool. It's definitely inspired me to go into the acting world, voiceover world. Obviously, I love presenting, and there's a lot of different ideas that I enjoy doing. I love talking about careers. I love talking about international opportunities. I love presenting, radio, voice acting. But it's just opened up more doors for me as my options as to what I can do when I finish uni. Go abroad. It will open up your aspirations, and it will definitely give you more ideas for what you want to do in the future. I'm going to get a bit deep here, but one of the toughest moments during my exchange trip was being on my own. The first couple of weeks, I struggled. I made a lot of friends, but I was just really homesick. I really missed my friends. And the way I overcame that was I wrote a Post-it note on my desk, and I'd look at it every morning, and it would tell me, you are powerful, you can do this, you will be successful. And I just wrote down some little affirmations for myself, and every morning when I woke up, I read them, and it really set my intentions for the day and also reminded me as to why I'm on that trip, why I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone like this. And it helped me overcome those real homesick feelings. Definitely have some sort of affirmations, meditation, exercise. I went on lots of mental health walks, and just also, like, I spoke to a lot of people and told them how I was feeling, just so you get it out there, and then people understand you a bit better. And once you communicate how you're feeling, it's out in the open, and sometimes all you need to do is just get it off your chest. Yeah, I spoke to people, had my affirmations, just reminded myself why I was there and what I wanted to achieve from this, and it definitely helped me through the homesickness. Honestly, the homesickness was a 1% of my entire trip there. Like, it wasn't a big deal, but it does get you sometimes. Sometimes you really sit there and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm across the continent. Where are all my family? Where are all my friends? And you have a little minute, especially, it's emotional. It's a very emotional thing going abroad. You think it's going to be all la-di-da, woo, having the best time of my life, but it gets emotional. You're doing a lot of work on yourself, and you're figuring out a lot of things about yourself that you probably wouldn't figure out at home. You're going to have, like, moments of, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? Like, it is just so normal. It is completely normal. Do not be ashamed of yourself or embarrassed to speak out because you're feeling lonely, and I think a lot of it is you don't want to be ungrateful because you're on a semester exchange trip, but it's normal. Like, ride out those feelings, accept them for what they are, and yeah, you're going to have little bad days. It's completely normal. And especially if you have any issues with people on your course, or you're having an issue with something there and you're stressed, it is what it is. That would happen when you're at home. Just because you're abroad doesn't mean everything's going to go swimmingly well. You're going to come across hurdles and issues. It's about how you handle them and how you figure out yourself and what works for you and how you get through those moments. Because, yeah, you really do take that home with you when you get back. I can handle things so much better now. But there's lots of resources and support systems that are available. You have the wellbeing and counselling team at Salford University. You also have counselling available at your host institution, well, you should do anyway. They did at Humber. There are numerous helplines online. There's numerous resources online, which I will link at the end of the video as well, and they're all on the Student Hub for you too. If you are looking to go abroad and you need a support system, there are so many things available. Humber had a phone number a bit like Salford University, where if you're walking home alone at night and you need to call somebody, you can call them. Any issues, security is straight there. There are great support systems whilst you're out there, and we also have a great support system at Salford Uni as well. My advice for students that are considering an exchange programme is to do your research, save a lot of money, save as much as you can. Have a look at your visa for while you're there, because some visas you can work on them, some visas you can't. You can call the embassy, pick up the phone, chat to them, and they'll tell you the best visa for you to go on. Book your flights way in advance, book your accommodation way in advance, check for deadlines for everything. You don't know when your deadlines are going to be. Get your documents filled out on the Student Hub. We have a checklist that I have made nice and perfect for everybody to read. Go through that checklist and just make sure you've handed everything in on time, because if you miss any documents, you can miss out on funding. You can even have your placement shifted or cancelled. So really make sure that you are on top of everything. Use the itinerary that are provided on the Student Hub as well, because that really will help you organise and have just a hub for yourself on your desktop that you can go on. Right, where's my flights? What time are they again? What's my hand luggage? Where am I staying again? Where is my university? Have it all there on the itinerary that I've done a bit of a template for, so you can stay very organised. Do not let things get on top of you. If you're overwhelmed, just contact us at the International Opportunities team. We have virtual Wednesdays. I think it's 2 till 3, the virtual Wednesdays. Don't quote me on that. But we have our virtual Wednesday offices. We also have drop-in sessions in the hub from September. Now, my tips and recommendations for making the most out of the experience would definitely be to go to everything, say yes to everything, speak to everybody. Even if you're not 100% sure if you want to go, just go. Just take every single opportunity. That is one thing. And also, when you're studying, you're not going there for a holiday. You need to work hard as well. I know a few people that went on the exchange trip that barely did any of their work, fell behind, and they've come back with rubbish grades, and it really doesn't reflect well on them. But if you go out there and you smash it at uni, you smash your course or you smash your work placement, you do really well, and then you come back with amazing friends, amazing experiences, but also really good grades, and that reflects really well on you, and it reflects really well on the university. So I would definitely say a big tip for making the most out of it is doing really well on the course. Now, it can be tricky depending on what course or placement you're doing, so just make sure that if you're struggling with anything, you reach out to Salford Uni, you reach out to the host institution, and you tell them what issues you're facing, and they'll be able to support you 100%. Do not just shut yourself off from everything. Some things that I wish I'd have known before going on the exchange was how expensive Toronto is. It's incredibly expensive. They add tax onto everything. That leads back to what I was saying. Check, do your research, and just save a lot of money. How did I manage my finances and what financial support is available? Okay, so the university have a grant scheme, a Turing grant scheme, which if you speak to the university, it's different for every student. So I don't want to give you any figures or anything, but speak to the university, see what help is available for you. We do have a Turing grant scheme, which actually helps students fund their mobility. So make sure you contact the university to find out what financial support is available for you in particular whilst you're overseas. A good thing to do is to create a spreadsheet. Obviously, if you get your student loan and things like that, put everything onto a spreadsheet, your income, your outgoings, everything all onto an Excel spreadsheet. And that will really help you know how much money you've got, because you might think you have a lot of money and then you do that spreadsheet and you're like, oh, I needed to save up a bit more there. So yeah, just make sure you are really looking over your finances and really getting organised with that, and just contacting the uni for any financial support as well. To keep informed about our exchange opportunities and to prepare for your own experiences, we actually have a student hub on the SharePoint. Now, we're going to link this as well with the podcast. Go to the student hub. On there, we have checklists. We have everything you need on there about our exchange opportunities. We have a list of partners, but the best thing to do is have a look, see which partners match up with the kind of course you're doing. Reach out to your exchange coordinator and say, hello, I'm looking to do this amount of time in this place. Would that be possible? If not, what are my other options for studying abroad? We have a list on the Student Hub of all exchange coordinators. So if you just jump onto the hub, find out who your exchange coordinator is. We also have a list of our partner institutions there as well. So just have a look yourself, get in contact with your exchange coordinator, and they'll help you map out your modules and get it all sorted and set in stone. And to be able to prepare for your own international experiences, like I said before, organisation, itineraries, plan your finances, plan what you're going to do when you get back and what's going to happen with all your stuff before you go, where you're going to keep everything, where you're going to move to when you get back, and just get super organised with it. It seems really overwhelming, the sheer amount of admin and everything that you need to do. It's very overwhelming, all the admin. So you just need to get in a good place one day, sit out with your laptop, and write down everything that you need to do and list it all and just get organised with it. The more organised you are, the less stressful it is in the long run. It seems like it's a lot of admin to do, but if you're going on an exchange trip, you need to be able to do the admin. Now, I asked you lovely people to send me in some questions that you want answering on the podcast. I've got quite a few questions here from Instagram. One of the questions here is tips on making friends in new places. Now, I went to a welcome event on the first day and I got introduced to all the international exchange students. It was very overwhelming. I was a bit anxious when I walked in the room. Everybody had name tags on, everybody was already chatting, and I turned up late because I couldn't find the room. And I was introduced by the exchange coordinators to other students, which was really nice of them. They said, come over here, we'll introduce you to the other students. And they introduced me around. So that's how I made friends on the first day, was obviously just going to the welcome event. If you are asked to attend one, make sure you do, because it's really, really important. And that is how you'll meet a lot of people. And I liked the welcome event because if you're doing a study exchange, they'll introduce you to other international students from all around the world. Another way of making friends is, like I say, putting yourself out there, the biggest cliche, but you have to go up to people and talk to people. Even just Google good questions to ask people, good icebreakers, and have like a bank in your head of questions and things that you want to ask people, and just practice every day talking to people. But if you are doing an exchange trip, it's important that you do put yourself out there, otherwise you won't make the most from the experience. Next question is, how did you find a sense of community in a new country? That's a good one. It's a little bit similar to the other question, but I would say a good way to integrate into the community is find your regular coffee shop, your regular like grocery shop, they call them in Canada, your regular grocery shop. You get to know people in the area. That's how I find a sense of community personally, is by always saying hello to people, regular faces that you see every day. Say hello, and people will start to remember you. And joining groups and societies at university as well, making sure you work on, like, say you're doing film studies, work on student films with other students, and integrate that way and just be helpful and help out in the community as well. You see anybody needing volunteers for things, put yourself forward for it. So there's loads of ways to find a sense of community. A sense of community for me is waking up every morning, going somewhere and seeing loads of familiar faces, saying hello, and having that nice community feel. One thing I did was a food bank in Toronto. So my landlady / roommate was hosting a food bank. We gathered loads of donations, and it really helped me feel like a part of the community and also give something back to the community that has welcomed me so nicely when I've gone there on my placement. So a good way of finding a sense of community is giving back to the community that you're integrating into. Another question, Manchester or Toronto, and why? That is such a difficult question. I love both cities for completely different reasons. I find that Toronto's a lot bigger, a lot more spread out, and Manchester's a very small community. You get to know people in Manchester, you get to know the area. I feel like when I was in Toronto, I was just finding new things every time I went out. It's absolutely massive in Toronto. I couldn't pick one. I don't know. If I had to, gun to my head, Manchester. I'm sorry. I love Toronto. I absolutely loved it. But Manchester, gun to my head, because all my family, my friends are here. I've got a routine here. Especially since coming back from the exchange trip, I've learned how to socialise and make friends and integrate into communities better. So since I've been back, I've absolutely flourished being back in Manchester. So I would say definitely Manchester, gun to my head, but I absolutely love Toronto and it taught me so much. And I will 1000% be going back there. And I could live there easy if I was a bit richer. If I had a bit more money, maybe. But no, I do love them both for very different reasons. But gun to my head, Manchester. What are some of the differences between Canada and home? Toronto's really, really big. Manchester's pretty small, like I said. Toronto has a lot of diverse cultures. I think Manchester's pretty diverse, but Toronto is really diverse. And you meet people from all different walks of life, all different ages, and everyone's so friendly. Like, everybody will speak to you. If you just walk past somebody, they'll smile at you. It's really nice. So I love that aspect about Canada. Yeah, there's a lot of differences. Why can't I think of any right now? No, there are plenty of differences. I liked the work ethic in Canada. I think the work ethic's a lot stronger than at my university in Salford. I think the students work really hard, but I think it's because they pay a lot more than we do as well, and they don't get loans either. I would also say that the wildlife in Canada is very different. There's skunks, raccoons, coyotes, bears, elk. I saw so many different types of animals and insects as well. There's a lot of different insects. So yeah, I would say the difference is like environment. 100% the environment is very different to Manchester. In summer it's really, really hot, and in winter it's really, really cold. But yeah, there's a lot of differences, but there's some of them. Another question is, how quickly did you start to feel comfortable in the decision you made? I felt comfortable in the decision I made as soon as I landed. I knew it was the right decision. I felt a sense of achievement and an overwhelming sense of being proud of myself when I landed. And I definitely felt comfortable in the decision I'd made. You're always going to have doubts and worries, but I didn't let that overtake how I was actually feeling, which was excited and proud of myself and independent and fearless. I was on my little adventure with my big fat suitcase and my bloody backpack, and I was ready to take on the world. I got to the airport, I was like, I'm ready. I felt comfortable straight away. I think a good way of getting comfortable when you first land is drop your bags off, have a good shower, get changed, put on some comfy shoes and go for a nice walk. No matter what the weather is, go for a nice walk. Find your local shop, your local park, have a walk around, and it just helps you get your bearings on your first night. Make phone calls, be like, oh, look where I am, I got here. And yeah, that's a good way of feeling comfortable when you get there. I think becoming comfortable in the decision I made was straight away. I knew it was the right decision from when I put the application in. But actually getting comfortable in my environment took me about a month, because you're settling down, you're meeting a lot of people, you're getting used to a different course, different environment. different culture. And yeah, it takes a little while to get comfortable, but I was definitely comfortable in my decision to go from the get-go. Another question I've had is, can I sign up to do it now? I'm starting second year at Salford in September. Yes, you absolutely can. You can go away for second semester, which will be from January until June. The deadline for the applications is the 4th of October this year. So make sure you go on the international page. All the information is on our Student Hub homepage. We have a list of study exchange partnerships, which you can go on, have a look at and see what maps up with your course. Once you've found out what universities you could potentially go to, you need to find out who your exchange coordinator is, and that is also on the Student Hub homepage too. Go on to there, find out who your exchange coordinator is, look at your options, do your own research, then put that to your exchange coordinator and say, these are the partnerships that I've found. What would I be able to do? Would I be able to map my course to this and possibly do a second semester there? Yeah, that's how you apply. And you've got until the 4th of October, so hurry up, get it done now. Do it now. Honestly, the quicker you do these things, the easier life will be. Email us at salford-iot@salford.ac.uk if you have any questions. And you can also give us a ring, or we also have drop-in sessions and virtual office Wednesdays as well. Thank you all so much for listening to my experiences about Toronto. If you have any questions about my experience or you want any hints or tips, please feel free to drop me a message on either my Instagram page or the International Opportunities page, which I will link at the end. But please feel free to send in any questions, any issues or queries, anything at all, and I can answer them in the next episode for you. If you listeners want to find out more about study exchanges or work placements, then please visit the Student Hub International Opportunities page, where you can find out about our drop-in sessions, application process, and partnerships. Please tune in next week to hear more from our amazing students, and remember to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast so you can hear more. And we can also spread the word about our international opportunities. We'll see you next time.